when they show this werewolf, this motherfucker looked like one of the Care Bears. All that's missing is a rainbow that's glowing on his chest. This has got to be the worst design ever for a werewolf. But man, cute and cuddly, he'll slap the shit out of you and knock your head off.
This is a bittersweet day, y'all, because Halloween is finally here, but is it me or does it feel like October went by very fucking fast? Like, there's 31 days in this month, and this is like Christmas time for horror movie fans, because even though I'm going to watch horror movies even after this month is over with, but this is just the time of year where you watch scary movies, you fellowship with your fellow horror movie nerds, and you just geek out on just horror movies and slasher movies. It's just the most wonderful time of the year. And now it's wrapping up, but I'm going to wrap it up right with one of my favorite horror movies from the 80s, one of the best werewolf movies of all time, and that is Silver Bullet, based off of Stephen King's short story called Cycle of the Werewolf, starring the late, great Corey Haim and a very coked out Gary Busey, which Blacktastic says later was probably more scarier than the werewolf. So I'm being joined once again by my main man, Blacktastic Media. Shout out, man, on your horror movie, your short film masterpiece, Sara. And if you haven't seen it yet, go over to the channel, check it out. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Check him out. Sara is getting a lot of love right now. It's getting a big pop, and it's catching fire, man. So check it out. Congratulations on that. And today we're gonna talk about 80s cheese fest werewolf flick, Silver Bullet. Now, Blacktastic is going to get into the synopsis and all that and the story and everything, but I just want to get my 2 cents on it real quick, and then after he gives his thoughts, I'm going to wrap it up. But Silver Bullet, it took me a few years to watch this movie because I first heard about this when my pops and my auntie, his sister, were talking about it. See, back then, they were the first movie critics, okay? They were my introduction into movies, so my pops always talked to his siblings about movies, and my aunt was trying to sell him on watching Silver Bullet because my father, he's not a big horror movie fan. But she said, James, you gotta watch this movie. I'm telling you, this movie is good, James. Yeah, this little boy, he in a wheelchair, he crippled, and the uncle built him an engine to go on the wheelchair, and that thing was faster than a car, and on the side it said Silver Bullet. And he took a firecracker and threw the firecracker in the werewolf's eye and shit. James, you gotta watch this movie. And I'm sitting there like, I wanna watch this movie. But my pop didn't let me watch a lot of horror joints back in the day, unfortunately. You know, he sheltered me from a lot of shit. But he did show me the transformation in American Werewolf in London, which to me is the best werewolf movie of all time. And I will agree with that. I think American Werewolf in London is the best werewolf movie ever. However, if you have a group of friends over, right, and y'all want to just have like a watch party where y'all watch something and have fun with it, I think with a crowd, you'll have more fun with Silver Bullet than you will Werewolf in London. Because there's times Werewolf in London where it kind of drags and it gets forever to get to the werewolf. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see a wolf in the beginning with the attack, but then there's a long stretch where there's no werewolf action until the transformation happens, and that's when shit gets real. But in Silver Bullet, from beginning to end, the first few minutes of the movie opens up with the werewolf attack. You see a dude get decapitated. And I counted, in the first 30 minutes of this movie, I think the werewolf already caught like 6 bodies, okay? There's like a high body count in this movie. This werewolf did not give a fuck, and Blacktastic gonna get to in a second. Yeah, he called him, this is like a pimp werewolf, okay? This was a pimp werewolf that looked like a Care Bear, but fucked you up as vicious as any werewolf can, all right? So before I get into the rest of my thoughts, I'm gonna give the floor to Blacktastic, bro. Tell us about Silver Bullet.
Yo, what's up? Yeah, man, it's your boy. I'm kicking it with my main man, Rashad G. Talking about an old classic from 1985, a Stephen King treatment about a werewolf called Silver Bullet. I remember back in the day, this came out in October of that year, and I was a few weeks away from Halloween, so it's a good, Halloween story, man. Damn. This movie stars Corey Haim, the old heartthrob back in the day, teenage heartthrob. Gone too soon, man. Love that dude. And Gary Busey is in this movie, y'all. Boy. Takes place in the town of Maine, one of Stephen King's favorite places for all his movies to take place at. And this man is out doing his job. This man is drinking on the job. He hears something in the bushes, some kind of wrestling, he goes over to check it out. A werewolf jumps out with his big ass paw and pimp slaps him so hard his head comes off and lands on the railroad tracks. That's in the first couple of minutes of the movie. I'm like, woo, yeah, bloody fun. I love movies like this. And Corey Haim's a young man who's a paraplegic. He's in a wheelchair. He has a little older sister, and she's the one narrating the story. You don't know that for a while, but his sister is narrating the whole story. They get a phone call from their uncle. He's going through a second divorce, needs a place to hang out and stay. Come stay with the family. He's a noticeable drunk. He's all messed up. I'm like, wait. Gary Busey a drunk? Is he acting back in the day? Or was he playing himself? Man, Gary Busey's a trip. And when he makes a scary face, he's actually scarier than a werewolf in this movie. But, this is back in the day when things were kind of campy. But, hey, I love campy. But for a while, this movie was scary. It had some good jump scares. You have spiders and rats jumping out and scaring the hell out of you. And when they're in the forest, in the dark, and you don't see the werewolf, this movie is pretty damn creepy. All you see is that damn paw. I swear to God. In this former life, this werewolf was a pimp. And this small town only has about 45 people. You're wondering, who is the werewolf? And there's some creepy characters, but, Stevie Wonder can see who the villain is in this movie. It's pretty obvious. It's that motherfucker right there. He's creepy. And he has all the folks listening to him every Sunday, if you know what I mean. But there's a scene in church when this priest is speaking to everybody. It's a dream sequence, and everybody's turning into werewolves. It's a freaky ass scene, and it stayed in my mind forever when I was a kid. Freak me the fuck out. It's crazy. Well, the uncle, Gary Busey, builds his nephew the Silver Bullet. It's a hooped up, swooped up, pimp your ride out wheelchair. It's like a little miniature motorcycle. And this thing is fast. It can go faster than trucks. Everybody drives slow in Maine anyway, but it's really cool. Well, Corey runs into the werewolf while he's popping off some firecrackers. He shoots a little small rocket in that werewolf's eye. You're like, uh-huh. All we have to do now is find a person missing an eyeball, and there's your damn werewolf. Because no one believed him about a werewolf. His uncle's like, look, you need to stop making up these damn stories about werewolves. Look, when a full moon, people just act crazy. There's no such thing as a werewolf. In the meantime, this werewolf was killing everybody, sticking into people's houses, busting through windows, slapping. He just slaps the shit out of people and cuts them up. I'm telling you, he's a pimp slapping a werewolf having a motherfucker. But you get to your third act, and you finally see the reveal of the werewolf. Because before you see just eyes looking through the window, big ass hand, that's all you see. You see like a little silhouette shadow. When they show this werewolf, this motherfucker looked like one of the Care Bears. All that's missing is a rainbow that's glowing on his chest. This has got to be the worst design ever for a werewolf. But man, cute and cuddly, he'll slap the shit out of you and knock your head off. But Imano, Gary Busey is beating him with that bat and shit. Because this werewolf killed all kind of people. The sheriff. He even killed a little kid flying a kite. I'm like, man, kill this motherfucker. He's evil. Yeah. Corey Haim and his sister take off their necklaces. Hey, melt this down into a silver bullet and it'll kill the werewolf. Well, that's what they did. They got a one bullet to get it right. And Corey shoots this motherfucker in his other eye. And there you have it. It kills the werewolf. It comes back to its original form. And the man of God was a werewolf the whole time. Priests are always wicked motherfuckers. You notice that? Molesting little boys and shit and turning into werewolves, eating motherfuckers, slapping them. Yeah. This movie's a classic. It's a guilty pleasure. One of the better werewolf movies, but just one of the worst designs ever as a werewolf. Goes down as a classic. Yeah. Silver Bullet. I'm going to hand it back over to my man. Thank you for having me on. Happy Halloween coming up, y'all. Be safe. and stare at the goddamn woods. Sick motherfuckers.
Yo, I can't unsee it now, man. Thank you. Thank you for nothing. Thank you for nothing. Now I cannot unsee this werewolf being a pimp. Cause yeah, you know, I think kind of like Jaws, they didn't have the werewolf costume fully yet. You know what I'm saying? So throughout the movie, you just saw his paw. You saw parts of him, but you never saw him fully, which I think added to the horror element of it, because a lot of times less is more. Let your imagination run wild. Like with Jaws, you barely saw the shark, you know what I'm saying? But that made it even scarier. So you don't see the werewolf in his full form until the end of the movie. Then when you see it, when the payoff happens, you're like, ooh, that doesn't look very intimidating at all. Yeah, I agree. It looked like a Care Bear. a pimp werewolf that looks like a damn Care Bear, man. And I gotta say, yeah, the ending too was a little, you know, the climax was a little underwhelming compared to how the rest of the movie was. Because the rest of the movie, it was suspenseful. I mean, it still had 80s cheese written all over it, but it was suspenseful. It was creepy at times. And probably the best scene in the movie is the scene in the church, that dream sequence, like you were saying, where everybody transformed into a werewolf. Like, that's etched in your brain for a long time. And there's even a transformation where the priest starts to turn to the wolf in front of the cop when they was in the garage. So the ending kind of left you underwhelmed, like it wasn't the worst ending in the world, but it just felt so lackluster. You know, the design of the werewolf was shitty, and then Gary Busey should have got fucked up by this thing. Like, this thing was like cutting people's heads off and beating them to death with bats, and when Gary Busey, all he would do was take him and throw him. You know, he would just throw him into the wall or something, and that was it. And then one bullet to the other eye, and the werewolf was done, you know. But I gotta say, with Gary Busey, yeah, he definitely stole this movie even from the werewolf. Gary Busey is not even acting. He's just being Gary Busey. At that time, before he sobered up and cleaned up and did Lethal Weapon, this dude was coked out of his mind. Just look at his body of work prior to this. Okay, you got DC Cab, you got this movie, and there was a couple other joints that he was in. He's just coked out of his mind, drunk out of his mind. So, but that's the beauty of the mystique of Gary, not mystique, but just, you know, the essence of Gary Busey, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing cooler than Gary Busey being Gary Busey in a movie. All right, so, and shout out to Corey Haim also for playing, what's his name, Marty, I think his name was. Yeah, that wheelchair was cool as shit, and it was everything like my auntie described it, because my auntie talked about this when it first came out on HBO. This is like 85, I think, and I didn't actually watch the movie till like 87. It came on regular TV, where it was edited for television, so I felt safe watching it. And yeah, it was as cool as my auntie made it out to be. So shout out to Auntie Georgia, man. You sold my pops on the movie. You sold me on the movie, but my pops didn't let me watch the shit. So yeah, wrapping it up, y'all. This was a cheese fest worth watching. And this works better with the crowd than American Werewolf in London. And I gotta watch The Howling again, because I want to compare The Howling to this one. But as far as werewolf designs, yeah, this is easily the worst design. But as far as the viciousness, the carnage that this werewolf does, like, he beats motherfuckers to death with a bat, slice your head off, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, okay, the werewolf was the priest, right? And this reminded me of the show I just watched called Midnight Mass. It's the same kind of thing, except Midnight Mass is vampires, this is werewolves. But he was a priest, but if you notice, the bodies that he captured in this movie wasn't just random, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody had a reason to get killed, so he killed the one lady because she got pregnant out of wedlock and she was going to kill herself. So the wolf, you know, put her out of her misery to keep her from killing herself. And that was a very crazy scene. Like, he was just clawing and scratching at her. All right, he killed the one guy because he was a drunk. Like, everybody that he killed, there was a reason for killing, except the kid with the kite. I don't know what the kid with the kite did. And wanted to kill Marty because Marty, you know, blew his cover. You know what I mean? But most of the people that he killed, it was a reason for it, because he thought he was doing the right thing as a priest. And shout out to that actor, because he did a great job playing that role as, you know, this innocent preacher, but yet he had a sinister side to him, but wasn't trying to be sinister, you know what I mean? And I can't imagine anybody first watching this at the time not putting that together. Like Blacktastic said, like Stevie Wonder could see that shit, you know, the fucking preacher was the goddamn werewolf, you know what I mean? So shout out to Blacktastic for being in this video, bro. Yeah, your review cracked me the fuck up. So wrapping this up, y'all. Silver Bullet gets a B+ in my book. One of the best. I can't give it an A just because that werewolf design was so horrible. It was so bad. You know what I'm saying? I can't. It was terrible. But I give it a B+ though. Highly recommended. Watch it with some friends and some alcohol. And enjoy Gary Busey being Gary Busey. And RIP to Corey Haim. You know, one of the best werewolf joints out there. So y'all, make sure you subscribe to Blacktastic Media. Once again, the link is in the description. Thank you all for watching all my horror reviews this month, you know, but gotta wrap up, you know, the month of Halloween, October. Damn, until next year, Lord spare our lives. I will see you then. So if you like and did this content, hit that like and subscribe, notification bell in the corner. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.